Matt, first League One point on the board, a 1-1 draw here at Lincoln. Pretty much a game of two halves. How would you sum up today?
Pretty well summed up by yourself, Craig. Mixed emotions. So pleased with our first half display. So pleased we're ahead. We lost a little bit of control in that second half. Give the opposition credit, they improved in that second period. We weren't able to get a foothold in the game, but they've not created open chances as that second half goes on. The goal's a poor moment from our point of view. That was a too simpler moment for the opposition to score. But stood here, and as it sinks in a little bit more, I'll be really pleased with what we did today.
Well, the performance levels, particularly in the first half, were they what you expected from your side today?
Yeah, I expect us to play well. I expect us to play good football. We had a foothold into the game today because we felt they'd look to play from the back, and we had a press option, and we wanted to force them into a few unforced errors, so to speak, and a few longer clearances which we could eat up in our back line. And it materialised really well in terms of a first half performance. I actually thought we had more openings than we gave ourselves not credit for, but we actually turned into proper moments where we worked their goalkeeper in that first half. Scored a fantastic goal. Should probably have put the ball closer to the opposition goal on more occasions. But you could just sense the way the second half started. They just started to come out on top when the ball was in around both bodies, and then all of a sudden we gave the ball away or kicked it away too often, and we had no control. And unfortunately, with no disrespect to the bench I wasn't able to put anyone on the pitch who could give us any control as that game went on. But we showed fantastic character, fantastic resilience, and if anything it was a pretty even game for the last 15 or 20 minutes.
I get to tell you again what a great goal it was to watch. But an outstanding bit of skill from Giovanni, and a brilliant ball into Sam. Giovanni
was exceptional, wasn't he? If we get Giovanni Brown ball, that partnership with him and Sam Nombe, I hope will be a fruitful one. It's proved to be today. Unfortunately, Sam obviously coming off towards the latter stages of the game shows where he is fitness and body wise, but also shows where we are squad wise. We're after more number 9s, more options top of the pitch, better options in terms of the bench and depth and quality. But we have to remember there was 5 academy players starting on that pitch, 8 in the squad. They'll have learnt a lot from today, and you can probably sense that the way the second half went, that no one really got hold of the game and said we're going to put it back in our favour, and we weren't really in a position to do that from the bench.
Obviously we saw Sam go off in some discomfort. What's the early outcome?
We hope, we pray it's just cramp. We'll wait and see. He worked his socks off, him and Giovanni did. They covered a lot of ground, but that was a culmination of the second half performance where we were asking too much from our attacking players, because we didn't give them any clean service, and they were chasing, and they were feeding off scraps, and they were so honest in relation to doing that. But hopefully it's not come at a price in relation to Sam. But we'll assess him in the next few days. If it's just cramp, he'll be better for it. If it's a strain of some sort, then we'll have to go to the drawing board and find some centre forwards from somewhere.
And actually Sam picked up his injury stretching for that ball, that perhaps in the early stages of the game you might leave. It was at the stage of the game that it was pivotal.
Yes, but like I say, it wasn't any clean service to those front boys. We had a bit of clean service in the first half, and those two and our Josh Coley and our attacking players showed what they could do in those moments. But as the game went on, it was a little bit more chaotic, in all honesty, but we've got to find a way of controlling the game even when we're slightly on the back foot, even when we're slightly disappointed that we're not having our natural instinct within the game and our natural rhythm. That's fine, give the opposition credit, give them their due, but then understand what needs us to get back into the game. We did it as the game went on, we just didn't quite do it for that 15 minutes of the second half, and surprisingly for myself, maybe I expected it towards the end of the game when you're fatigued and you're out of breath and you're leggy. Didn't quite expect it the first 15 minutes of the second half.
There were certainly some hairy moments towards the end, that goalmouth scramble, but the players particularly showed real grit in defence to just make sure we got at least a point today.
Yeah, look, first half especially we felt we had quite good attacking moments. We were working their goalkeeper consistently enough. A few half moments in around the box. Second half, Scotty's not had too many saves to make. That scramble, I think he put his bodies on his line. Alex, possibly Jack Sparks, they did what they needed to do in relation to those moments. And credit goes to Scotty. Look, to come in and play at his age, and on the amount of game time he's had in pre-season and training time. We hope Jamal will be back with us next week. That will strengthen the unit. That will strengthen the team. We'll be a lot better off on the back of today.
Matt Jay was named on the bench for this game. Was that something tactical, or was a little niggle there?
No, partly tactical, partly the way the squad is at the moment. We knew we needed to cover the ground, and we felt Josh Coley was a better option in terms of getting out, in terms of the press, getting out and back in again, but also in a re-game being able to break through the lines and stay through the lines. So a slightly different dynamic in terms of our midfield, something we've been looking at in pre-season. We have to understand that we might not always have as many attacking players in that midfield three as we did have last season. We might have Harry Kite, we might have Josh Coley in there, we might have Keggs, we might look to bring in another actual midfielder who can take the middle of the pitch and strengthen that middle of the pitch, and he gave us a real option in that first half, and had a few good moments in around the opposition 18-yard box as well, but like a few of them, his game sort of went into a bit of chaos when his legs started to go. He didn't barely play many games in League Two, and he's not played much Football League, so we're asking him to come in and start a game in League One. I think he'll get better as well.
You mentioned it in the latter stages of the game, you didn't feel that the options were there on the bench for you to change the game.
Yeah, that's no disrespect. Yeah, there's no disrespect to the bench. That's the profile and the personnel within it. We had no real physicality on there. Certainly top end of the pitch is the options you always want to be able to influence the game. We had probably options elsewhere. We thought about changing the shape, but the players were also in a bit of a rhythm. And if we could have just somehow got more of an attacking foothold higher up the pitch and made cleaner passes, we might have got Giovanni or MJ or one of those players on the ball higher up. Plus, as the game got difficult in the mid-third, sometimes our execution actually closer to the goal second half went lower as opposed to higher.
And now for that question I'm going to ask you 46 times this season. Superb from the fans. They've had huge travel problems like everyone has, and really respectful that moment in the 37th minute for the Lincoln fans.
Well. Obviously we were told about that today, so our thoughts and well wishes go out to the family in relation to that. Our fans are fantastic. Hopefully they've seen what I've seen today in terms of feeling positive, loving the fact that we've got those academy players on the pitch, really excited about us getting better. I have to believe that the experience some of those players will have got from today, the fitness levels, the way their games will build and build and build, and we had very few League One appearances within that group. You take Scott Brown out of the equation, I think there's only Tim Diang in terms of the group who've actually played a significant level of League One games. So they'll build and they'll grow off the back of that. The feeling is that they're a little bit disappointed we didn't go on and win the game, and that shows me a real positive feeling throughout the group.
What do you think your players have learned about League One from this one game?
You have to execute certain moments better than we did. I can talk at length about the opposition goal and just switching off. Look, it was a young free in terms of Czech, Alex and Jacko, and the lad seemed to get between the lines. He was onside and we were almost claiming offside in that moment, but we can also defend the throw better and stop it at source. But also then when the game becomes the way it was and not in our favour, somehow retaining possession. We don't always have to go forward all the time, and that was probably realistically our building phase from our back three and our midfield three. And sometimes when you're tired, I'm not saying they hid in any way, but you can take an easier option and what you feel is a safer option. Actually, what you need to do is be really ballsy and say get on the ball and just retain possession for a little bit longer, and we didn't really make them work in the second half like they made us work.
And finally, in that answer you reminded me that offside goal that we had, have you seen that back? Any thoughts on it?
I've not seen it back as yet. There was a few close calls. I'm not sure we got the rubber green in terms of the officials. Certainly today there was a few in front of myself with the dugout I was getting a little bit frustrated with, but that was a culmination of the way the second half was going. It felt that much was going in our direction, but like I've touched upon, Scotty's not had too many saves to make. There was that goalmouth scramble towards the end, but not too many saves to make, and if anything their keeper's made a couple of saves as well. So I'm, like I say, the longer I digest it, the more positive I am in terms of moving forward.
Thanks a lot, Matt.